as we have the offices closer to the urban center of Austin, our younger employees, even those who are making, very solid, good incomes, in their mid and early 20s. I don't know how they can afford a new home within Austin itself, much less a pretty nice home. Just financially, it's tough to do that. So to be able to provide those job opportunities a little bit out of that cost center is, a good factor for us in our business to allow us.
Welcome to Gone to Texas, the official podcast of the Texas Economic Development Connection. On every episode, we share the stories of business owners and CEOs who have relocated or expanded their business into Texas. Our goal is to use these stories as a guide to help others who are ready to hang a sign on the door that says, Gone to Texas. And now, please welcome your host, the managing partner and chief inspiration officer for Day One Experts, Super Dave Quinn.
Welcome to another edition of the Gone to Texas podcast. I'm your host, Super Dave Quinn, and I have the great pleasure today to sit down with John Littlefield with Southwest Engineers, based in Gonzales, Texas. Thanks to Susan Sankey and the team out in Gonzales for allowing us this opportunity to sit down with John. John, thank you for giving us a few minutes of your time today and sharing your experience. Welcome to the show. Introduce yourself. Tell the folks a little bit about what Southwest Engineers does, and we'll dive into your story.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Good to be here. Southwest Engineers was actually, my dad founded our company back in 1978. We do civil engineering work based in Gonzales. Our family's been in Gonzales County for a long time. We do a lot of wastewater design projects, treatment plants, things like that, land development work, civil engineering, environmental engineering. So, we've been around for coming on 50 years here pretty quick, and just been real blessed to be where we are.
So, John, being in the civil engineering industry in Central Texas, especially right now, there's a little bit of opportunity for your services. I'm thinking that there's a lot of growth in your area.
Absolutely. We've been really lucky in that regard. As I said, my dad started us in Gonzales in 78. About 15 years ago, we opened an office in Hayes County, 2 years ago, one in Bastrop County, and then last year in Williamson County. So all in the Austin metropolitan area. And it's the growth has been really connected to the economic development of the region. So we've been trying to get really involved and engaged in that because it's good for our legacy business, and it's good for all the other businesses coming in.
So, John, tell me a little bit about, for a business to have started in 1978, and weathered everything that we've weathered throughout that time, what has that been like for your company? What's allowed you to really make that from 1978 till today, that journey? What are some of the things that have allowed you to be successful and stay open?
Great question. It's relationships. I think more than anything, it's building those relationships, proving the trust that our clients have in us, that we're looking out for their interest first. I like to think of it as the Texas values. We still have a lot of that in Texas, where we do what we say we're going to do. We shake hands and we live up to that. And it sets us apart. I think it sets us apart when people come in, and don't understand that from other areas. So we have, it's just a different culture, and being part of that, I think has allowed us to continue on like we have.
Now, how big is your team? You've got 4 offices now. So how many people work for Southwest Engineers?
We have about 80 employees, more or less, right now.
Wow. Okay. And so from a talent position standpoint, you've been able to access, you're really talking about skilled talent, right? Engineers for the most part, who you're hiring. So what has been that sourcing for you?
So we're lucky. We've got great universities here. We've got depending on what your bias is, University of Texas or Texas A&M, obviously are two of the best civil engineering schools in the country. But we have in San Marcos, Texas State has really come on with their engineering program. UTSA in San Antonio has really done well. And so, there's a lot of opportunities for the youth that are growing up in these what were rural communities, or some of them still are, to get a good education and get a good opportunity to serve back in their communities.
So one of the things I noticed is, we're talking to you because Susan and the team at Gonzales valued your relationship and being in the community. And your other offices, they're not really in Austin; they're in the outlying rural communities. What has it been like officing, not in the capital, not in the big city, Austin? A lot of people, when they're coming from Texas, they think Austin, Dallas, Houston, maybe San Antonio. So often they don't really mean Houston, Dallas, Austin, or San Antonio. They mean the areas somewhere around that. So talk a little bit about, being raised in Gonzales and coming into the business, and what that's been like.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think you segued there really well to my response. And growing up in Gonzales County and raised in that environment, I think just we have more of a cultural fit and an understanding of these communities on what were the outskirts of a larger, metropolitan city. But understanding how those communities work, the pain points that they're going through in their growth, whether they started, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, or, the growth that's, economic growth that's starting to come into Gonzales County and the city now, understanding those pain points with them and being able to help them get through it. That's just kind of the niche we've, managed to find ourselves in through luck or fortune, either way, over these last decades.
So one of the things that I think business owners, when they're coming into Texas, that they may not recognize or understand, is just the strength of relationships and being how the local community does really want you to do well, right? So it always amazes me when I talk about, having economic developers or somebody on your team, on your side to try to help you. There's a little bit of mistrust there because they're not used to, the city really trying to help you as a business owner and grow and sort of wanting you to be successful. Talk a little bit about the importance of the business community there in Gonzales and what that's meant to your business.
Well, I think that's a great question as well. The the business community in Gonzales has historically been pretty steady. You have a lot of families that have been in business for a long time, a lot of businesses that have been around for a long time. Uh, haven't seen the population growth in the community, so some of the opportunities those businesses have had to grow has historically been outside of the county itself. But to be able to lean on each other and what Susan's trying to do now and bring some of those jobs and direct opportunities within the city is changing, and I think it's going to help every one of the businesses in town.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So, um, gosh, tell me a little bit about, a person's coming into town is maybe from somewhere else. They're settling into town. What are some of the things that you do or recommend to sort of build those relationships that you're talking about and to find clients and partners when they relocate into Texas?
Well, you look, your economic development community is the past 10 or 15 years that I've been associated with it is really grown throughout Texas, and is really starting to take a leadership role, which maybe it was happening and I just didn't see it as much, in the past. Or maybe it's just a function of the population has grown. So there's been a realization that, these opportunities are there for people that are in that marketplace. But yeah, the ability for the economic development, entities to build relationships with, whether it's engineering or whatever the local businesses are, to help these industries. Largely, I've seen a lot of industries, but industries or whatever the businesses may be, they're looking to relocate or expand, to be able to introduce them and build those relationships, so you can get some of that culture of Texas and understanding to be as successful as they're hoping to be, and we want them to be.
Nice. Well, so as you're looking into the future, what are some of the things that you're seeing on the horizon from an opportunity standpoint for business owners?
Well, I mentioned the fact that the industries we're seeing looking to come in. Personally, I'm embracing that. I think that's good for our state, for our country. The onshoring has already been very positive in Texas, and so I think for the businesses to understand and embrace those new industries coming in, and looking at what services they may need and what their workforce may need, because you're talking about, each one of these projects is, tens, if not hundreds or thousands of jobs. That's almost endless opportunity for our business community, the current one and future, to succeed.
Nice. And so, one of the questions we get a lot about is the water infrastructure in Texas. Can you speak to that at all? And I mean, you're in the thick of it, right? Like that is sort of what you do. Is how do you get water to all these people coming in? Talk about a little bit about that and what it looks like, and will businesses have the opportunity to be successful here in with the infrastructure that's needed?
Well, it's a significant issue, or not issue, but item that has to be addressed. We've got a lot of water resources. We've had a lot of growth. It's utilized a lot of the sources that have been used in the past. And so it is getting a little more expensive. We're having to go a little further out to bring these supplies in. But I think that the state of Texas is doing a really good job stepping up, whether it be through the river authorities across the state. In the Gonzales area, the Guadalupe Blanco River Authority has been very good at stepping up and helping find future sources. And even the governor's office and the push for legislation to bring additional funding for these major regional water projects. What the uh, picture we get back, and the what we feel like we see coming from the governor's office is they're fully committed to making sure water, power, these issues are addressed, so the state can continue to grow. And it's I think we're going on the right path in that regard.
Well, I appreciate that. I always try to let people know that yes, there are challenges. There's challenges everywhere. What I think you find in Texas is a proactive can do. We're going to figure this problem out. And there are really a lot of smart people that are tasked with handling these kind of challenges as they come up. So I'm glad to hear you, sort of see that same vein of, being proactive in addressing those challenges. So thank you for sharing
Yeah,
that.
I think the challenges are simply opportunities, and I think we have a culture of looking at it that way, and then taking on those challenges so we can succeed from the opportunities that are there with them.
Okay. You know, growing up in Gonzales, I think one of the things that people ask a lot is, you're not in downtown Austin, right? So that's a different sort of environment from a quality of life. We touched on it a little bit, but they want to know what Tuesday night or Friday night is like, or what's a Saturday night like in Gonzales, and because they just don't know, right? They know Austin and the big city and that sort of thing, but they're really wondering what, man, just day to day life in Gonzales. What does that feel like? And can you give some perspective on that?
Sure, sure. Well, it's certainly different. The there aren't as many opportunities for restaurants or entertainment and things like that. But what you end up with is a different type of community, a different type of culture within that community, and it's much more family based. It's you're around the dinner table in the evenings. Church is still a much stronger function and the heart of these smaller communities. And the work ethic that comes from that, from the current employees and that are there and the future. It's simply different, partially because there are less entertainment opportunities, et cetera.
Well, and that's one thing I think. Again, you have young talent, I'm sure, young engineers coming on, and you're able to source that and give them an opportunity, one, to afford a lifestyle that they wouldn't be able to afford in Austin, around a house for their family and kids and that sort of thing. Where really it's the quality of life and just the cost of living, allows that worker to do that when maybe it wouldn't be possible, uh, as you get closer into the urban center, I guess.
No, there's no doubt about it. As we have the offices closer to the urban center of Austin, our younger employees, even those who are making, very solid, good incomes in their mid and early 20s, I don't know how they can afford a new home within Austin itself. Much less a pretty nice home. Just financially, it's tough to do that. So to be able to provide those job opportunities a little bit out of that cost center is a good factor for us in our business to allow us to grow.
Gonzales, deep in the heart of Texas. It's a place you want to be, whether it's to learn about our history and the birthplace of Texas freedom, our hospitality, our wonderful events, or maybe you want to come and open a business because of the legendary work ethic. Gonzales is the place to be. Located minutes off I-10, just 1 hour from two of Texas's biggest cities, Austin and San Antonio, we're also located just 2 hours from Houston. Gonzales has a quaint small-town charm with most of the amenities of big city life, including nightlife downtown, a beautiful public library, and shops to outfit the entire family. We have the perfect location for you to come and visit, or to come and live. Deep in the heart of Texas, we are Gonzales, Texas.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's part of the questions I get too is they're relocating and they're going to lose some of their employees because some aren't going to come to Texas and that's just part of it. But their question is, will we be able to, source talent? And especially if, again, we're not sitting in the urban center. And I think you're a great example of that, where, you have a higher skilled sort of workforce and yet you're still able to source that young talent coming out of college and being able to plug them in your different offices around the Austin metro. So.
No, that's correct. It's, and keeping that local talent, the young people that are going into college that, historically thought they had to go move to the city because that's going to be the only place where they could have a future. And, a lot of times the people that grow up in small towns would just as soon go back to those small towns if those opportunities exist for them.
Right. Well, I think that's, that's a big story that I think more and more communities are learning and leaning into, is that opportunity to bring back someone who was raised in that small town environment, understands what the family values, and really maybe thinks at first they want to, escape and go to the big city, but then they find themselves, well, maybe it's not exactly what I was looking for. And they want that opportunity to work in a good position back in the community where they came from.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. I think if us as communities, the various communities, can lean on that, I think it could do nothing but benefit every one of the communities.
Nice. Well, John, so if people are, they're coming in and they need your services, who is your target audience? Are you working mostly with municipal cities or governments, or are you working for developers or business owners who are building and need to put in, water and sewer, maybe to some property that they've purchased?
It's both, really. It's I don't know if it's 50-50, but it's not too far off. So we've got a lot of legacy municipalities and government entities that we've worked with. But it's also a lot of the development and the new growth, and whether they need utility needs or the streets and drainage or whatever it may be, just helping a new convenience store or a strip mall. We work with all of those, and encourage them all to reach out to us and to our website and get a hold of us.
So, what is it? Let's go ahead and give them your website so we get that. What's your website address? Where can they find you?
Yeah, it's www.swengineers.com. texasectcom.
Okay, that's easy enough. And so, what really is it that has really set you apart? And again, I go back to you started in 1978. Your dad started the business, and you're still operating today. Obviously, you're doing something right, and you're providing a value to the marketplace. What do you think it is that really sets you guys apart?
I think we try to focus on and understand what it is that our clients' business needs are. It's not that we're not just focused on putting together a set of plans, getting them out the door, getting something built. We want to see what it is that our client wants, whether it's a convenience store or a utility company or a city. What is it that they're really looking forward to doing or trying to accomplish? And if we can understand where they're coming at from a business or operational mindset, then we can better serve them. And I think we've been pretty good at that. And I think that sets us, I hope that sets us apart.
Well, it sounds like you've done something right. I mean, you don't operate for as long as y'all have operated and not have done something right. And I think it says a lot about just the type of people you are and um, the culture that you've been able to maintain across that. I mean, that's got to be challenging with 80 employees. How have you been able to maintain that culture of as you've grown and gone into these different markets? What are some of the things that you do to help maintain that culture that you've built?
Well, you're right. I mean, we try to maintain a family culture within our company, which, as you grow becomes more of a challenge. Each one of our offices is relatively small, 20 to 25 at the most. So we can kind of still maintain those family ties within those offices, and that's important to us. We don't want to grow into a 500-man company all in one corporate office. We would not have the same culture that we do if we did that, and that's not what we've tried to do. So we've been intentional in that regard. And that's why we have, 4 offices, spread out around the region, to try to maintain that family culture and allow, the newer employees to grow and the older, more experienced employees to have a stable environment where they can do what they want to do.
So one of the other things that a growing company has to have access to is capital and a financial banking relationship that allows you to grow and invest. Have you been able to talk a little bit about how you've been able to make that happen and grow your business?
So we're a relatively low in capital needs for a business as we're professionals. The majority of our expenses are our payroll. So we don't need to borrow a bunch of money to build facilities or things like that. So our banking background has been in local community banks that have served this region for, a century or so. And so, those banks have changed over the years as the various banking laws and rules have come into effect. Many of them has made it harder on that industry, even though those weren't the banks that were causing trouble historically. They did feel some side effects from that, but having those community bank relationships is important. So when there is a need, you know who you're calling. They know who you are. They know who your family is, and it makes it a lot easier for sure.
Well, and that's one of the things also, we talk about in the economic development relationship. And as you go into community, our job is to connect these business owners with the economic developer at the local level. And that economic developer really, even if you're not interested in getting incentives or maybe you're small and you're not going to get an incentive because your impacts just doesn't, justify it maybe. Knowing the local economic developer allows you to really plug into the local banking community, the other business communities and know where you can, sort of access these different resources that you're talking about. And I think Texas has one of the best local banking infrastructures, if you will, across the U.S. I would stack it up with just about any state in the union from that standpoint. And I think it matches exactly with what we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak to how the industries are in other states, but it's a good group to work with for sure in Texas.
So, any other thoughts? I mean, if you have somebody that's moving into the area, what are some, what's a tip that you might give them, as they're thinking about this? It's a big move to pick not only your family up and move to the state, but your employees and a business. Do you have some, what are some helpful tips you might give our listeners if they're thinking about this or contemplating a move, especially into Gonzales?
Well, that's a hard question to answer, but it's a great question. I think that what I would do, is I would go talk to the business owners in the community, whether they're in like industries or other industries, and go talk to people that are, if you're moving to Gonzales, get Susan to introduce you to some of the other business owners, let you understand exactly what it is, whether it's in Gonzales or anywhere in Texas. There's lots of opportunities, but nothing, like I said, nothing's perfect. Talk about the school, talk about the ability to bring in a workforce. But understand how the other business owners, experiences have been. And that's what I would do first.
Well, John, that's it's been great, man. Thank you I know you've been out on vacation and you're running hard now, and we appreciate you stopping long enough to jump in and have a conversation with us. I really want to say thank you to Susan and the team at Gonzales Economic Development Corporation for setting this up, allowing us to get a peek into what it's like having from a business owner's perspective there in Gonzales, Texas. We really appreciate your time today. And folks, we understand that there are a lot of business owners across the U.S. that are feeling frustrated with their circumstances, and they're really looking to the Lone Star State. And that is what we do here at the Texas Economic Development Connection, is we help business owners connect with people like Susan Sankey down in Gonzales at the Economic Development Corporation, and really help them find an ideal place and make it super simple for them to plug into the local community and access resources that will make that move to Texas just a little bit faster and a little bit easier. So, folks, thank you for joining us today on Gone to Texas podcast. I'm your host, Super Dave Quinn, and until next time, make it a great day.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Gone to Texas, the official podcast of the Texas Economic Development Connection, powered by Day One Experts, a collection of the country's best-known economic development professionals offering on-demand services to communities across the nation.